Barnstable This Morning. I'm Sarah Colvin, and joining me live on the phone, I welcome our 5th Barnstable State Representative, Randy Hunt. Rep. Hunt, good morning.
Well, good morning.
How are you?
Glad to be with you once again.
Likewise. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us. So today, talking, of course, about one of the biggest issues that we are dealing with these days, homelessness. And I understand you, members of the Cape delegation, had a meeting up in Boston this week, talking again about some possible solutions and funding, et cetera. So tell me a little bit about what happened at that meeting.
Well, the meeting focused on getting an update on a number of things that have been started, and having some discussion about some things that we could do. The one thing that was talked about in the Cape Cod Times was relative to getting agencies on the same page with each other using a database that identifies the people who are homeless in the county and the islands. So that when they're in the system, no matter who they might go to for help, they're able to be put into a system where all of the agencies, which may involve various social services or help finding permanent housing, mental health, addiction services, other things, all of these agencies are able to tap into that database and follow the same person and not have to recreate all of the background that we already have on that person to be able to start helping them in that particular agency's area. So it seems like an obvious thing that if somebody comes in for help, that we not have to regenerate every document at every place that they go to. It's just like medical records, really.
Exactly. I know. I'm thinking about going to various doctors and having to, answer the same slew of questions, fill out the same form every time you go somewhere else. So certainly, to be able to have that kind of a unified database is certainly important.
Exactly. Yeah, when, of course, in doctors' offices, the people as old as I am have done that all their lives and had to physically transport records from one place to another when you transfer doctors, which is all ridiculous, of course. And so one of the things that the agencies have put together is a single release form that a person can sign that would cover all of the various agencies that they might need help with, so that it hurries up their entry into the system. It's called a Coordinated Entry System, CES, and it was being used as a pilot for a while. And one of the things that we did recently was we found some money to get that system put, enhanced and completed so that it could be used. Now we have about, in the Hyannis area, we probably identified 180 or so people who are homeless at this point. We know that's the total population right now, 180 to maybe 200, and 95 of those people are in this system and are being helped to move to whatever it is that they need to have as far as services go.
Now, did that?
So we got the report on that, and they said that this whole effort that Paula Schnepp and the people over at Duffy and VinFin have been working on is now much better than it was.
So does that number, just to go back for a second, the 180 people and the 95 in the system, does that kind of encompass all of the different levels? I know we talk about that a lot everywhere, from the chronic homeless to the couch surfers, if you will. Does that number encompass all of the different types of people experiencing homelessness?
No, I don't think that it would pick up on anybody who is house surfing, just because there would be no reason for those people to check in for help at a place. But for those who we have identified with the additional people on the streets that the town of Barnstable has hired, and going through the various illegal encampments that we have that the police chief in Barnstable has worked very hard to keep from reoccurring this summer. It's just all of those contacts that have been made that give us the idea there's about 180 to 200 people. And that fits in, actually, with what we've seen in the past, which is the police department usually runs into about 400 individuals during any particular year. And I would expect that as we work hard to identify these people and get them in the system, we may well end up having numbers that are higher than they have been in the past, not because there are more people who are homeless, but because we're doing a better job of identifying them.
Absolutely. So, we're looking at this coordinated entry system. That, as you say, that is in place now. That is something that folks are using here in Hyannis.
It is. It's happening right now, and according to the state's no wrong door policy, wherever you go for help is an okay place to go for help. In other words, you don't have to be ushered to one particular point to start receiving services in the system. No matter what door you knock on and ask for help, that's an okay place to start. And by having this common database, it helps the agencies quickly identify where you should go, and the receiving agency will already have the information about you when you get there. So I think that's really helped out a lot. We'll see the effect of it happening over the next several months as the coordination improves. But then, the big issue that is sitting over all of us at the table is permanent housing. How do we increase that? How do we encourage landlords to rent apartments to people who are currently homeless? And one of the things that was also done was to fund a backstop so that we would encourage landlords to take vouchers that would allow people to rent apartments who are currently homeless. And Housing Assistance Corporation is the one, the group through which that happens. And we've had a dozen additional vouchers just recently issued, and 4 of those have already been taken up and used. And for the landlord's sake, relative to being concerned about renting a place to somebody who is currently homeless, we created a fund that would help that landlord in case there was a problem and there was property damage, to be able to tap that fund to fix the property damage without having to go to an insurance policy and, of course, risk higher premiums because of claims and that type of thing. So the state, says, well, we have places that could be available if we just made sure that the landlords felt confident that this was not going to be a problem for them. And we've done that as well. And all of that's happened over the last few months.
Absolutely. So it really does seem like some progress is being made. Anything on the horizon that is hoping to be implemented, or any other successes at this point?
We're looking at permanent housing, as I mentioned, and actually doing a feasibility study of how many units we need to stand up and how soon that could be done, where it can be done, all of those issues, because there are people who are homeless who are ready to go into permanent housing if they could just find something. But we also realize that some people are in a situation where they need to have other interventions before they can get to that point. But we don't want to just drop them after they've had addiction services or mental health services because we have a lack of permanent housing. So really overarching this whole issue is, can we generate enough inventory of housing, subsidized housing, so that at the end of this process, when somebody's ready to get a roof over their head, that there is a roof to be had.
Great. Well, Randy, I thank you so much, as always, for joining us here on Barnstable This Morning. Great to get the update from you, and we will talk with you again in a couple of weeks.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. With Barnstable State Representative Randy Hunt, we're going to head now.